Continuing on with part 3 of the nature of evil. I said in part 2 that most people do evil things out of cowardice or weakness or a desire to cause harm. And then I corrected that and I said, well, most people probably don't have a desire to cause harm. But now I want to correct that again because, as I said in part 1, a lot more people than you think actually do have a desire to cause harm. And I gave a whole bunch of examples in part 1 how that works, whether it is consciously or subconsciously that people want to cause harm. They think that they're actually good for wanting to cause harm. Like someone believes in flat earth theory and not globe earth theory, oh, they deserve to die in the vacuum of space, and that'll teach them that there actually is space and the world's a ball spinning through space. Those kinds of examples, or you don't want to pay my welfare, you deserve to be hit by a car, etc. So I wanted to correct that. I think, yeah, unfortunately, I won't say most people have that desire to cause harm, but many and more than should. Well, no one really should have that desire to unjustifiably cause harm against other people, to initiate harm. Retaliation, to retaliate and to cause harm and destruction and death is perfectly acceptable and morally right and good, righteous in a particular context. It is right to rain destruction upon the enemy if they are the initiators of evil. Retaliation is good, initiation, no. To cause imposition, to initiate physical force or fraud, that is evil. So I wanted to correct that, and then I'm going to read out some writings I jotted down today in regards to explaining this situation in more depth, how evasion is evil. And I'm really focusing on this because most people do it with something. And that's the audience I'm really trying to hit home with these videos, because the cabal, they're not going to watch this. They're set in their ways, but people who are unintentionally, accidentally causing evil via evasion and evading the fact that they are evading, maybe there's hope I can reach them, that you can reach them. So that's why I'm really laying this out very clearly to see, and hopefully it makes you think, and that is confronting, because I understand very well that this knowledge, this information is very confronting, and that's why people retaliate against it with all kinds of defensive mechanisms. Oh, I don't want to listen to him. He's arrogant. He thinks he knows everything. I'm not evil. Oh, he's wrong. He's wrong. And in some respect, I get that. And really, it's just their evil programs taking control of their conscious mind. So, well, forgive them for they know not what they do. No, I don't stand by that quote. I utterly reject that, because you are responsible for your choice. If you reject learning that you're committing evil, that your farts are toxic like Shrek in the part 2 example, well, that's evil and you are culpable. All right, let's crack into this. Not thinking things through is like the Nuremberg trials. Saying I was just following orders does not excuse your evil actions. Oh, I was going to bring it back to voting. I absolutely despise voting because it's such an easy one to grasp. This is wrong. Don't do it under any circumstances in the appropriate context. Don't support your own enslavement. Don't support the violation of me, of my personal rights, because that's what you're doing. Saying I was just following orders, I was just doing what I'd been told was good, does not excuse your evil actions. You are a moral agent. That's a fact. You have free will. That is a fact. Deciding to be willfully unaware does not let you off the hook. It doesn't make it okay or acceptable behavior to say, I didn't know it was evil to rape, murder, steal, cheat, lie, support terrorism, and people who commit evil in my name and with my vote of consent. It's still evil to violate rights and to perform actions which you have no right to do. There's that saying, ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's not appropriate because that's in the context of bullshit legislation, which you've got no hope in hell of understanding. But morality, well, that's real. You can figure that out without having to go to a university for 4 to 8 years and studying. You can figure this stuff out from a couple hours of good YouTube videos. It's really not that complicated. And I'm trying to make this as simple as possible to understand. I'm not deliberately obfuscating and complicating things like the legal system does. Oh my goodness, we get into complexity. There's nothing more complex. My goodness gracious me, the evil that is gone behind the legal system is unfathomable. It's still evil to violate rights and to perform actions which you have no right to do, no matter how well-intentioned you are. If you directly initiate imposition or support others initiating imposition, you are acting evil qua evil. You are doing what evil does, and evil initiates imposition, the violation of others' rights through physical or mental force. That's what imposition is. If the results of your actions, whether directly or indirectly, cause or support the initiation of imposition, or just cause imposition, then you are evil, as you are performing evil actions, just as you are good when you perform good actions. Everyone, no matter how evil they are, does some good things for themselves and for others, of course. There's no one who is evil to absolutely everyone. Well, not that I'm aware of. That might be possible, might not be. But it's not good enough that Mary down at the supermarket is polite and kind to you when you buy your groceries, but after dark is voting for the latest political party to rob you of your rights, money and liberty. Being good sometimes is not good enough. Being good 99% of the time is not good enough. Respecting the rights of others 99% of the time isn't good enough. Only raping 1 out of 100 people you meet is not good. Murdering 1 out of 100 people is not good. Stealing from 1 out of 1,000 people is not good. If out of the 10,000 actions you perform daily, only one of them supports the initiation of physical force and theft of another's freedom, it's still evil. But if you only choose to support just one evil idea per year, like voting, you can't escape the fact that you have directly supported the violation of your own and others' rights. You have directly supported and condoned, backed theft, torture and enslavement of yourself, your children, your partner, your whole family, your friends, and everyone else in society. That is what you are doing. That is the consequential effects of your actions. And that is an evil action. If you perform evil actions, even only once a year, you're evil. Good 99% of the time, sure. But that one action, it taints your entire character. White with 1% black added isn't white anymore, it's grey. And the grey is the black. If your partner treats you perfectly every day of the year, except for one, where they beat you to within an inch of your life, as a ritualistic policy, year in, year out, then your partner is evil. And you are evil to yourself for staying with them and enduring such injustice. If your best friend only betrays you once a year by emptying your bank account, well, let's just say half your bank account, your best friend is not a friend. They are an enemy. They are an evil traitor. If your next door neighbor only jumps into your backyard and steals 20% of your belongings once every 5 years, they are a criminal and should be condemned and reprimanded. If a burglar breaks into your house and only demands you turn over 1% of all your household possessions, just 1%, and they only do it once in your entire lifetime, it's still wrong. It's still an imposition. It is still evil and should not be encouraged or accepted as morally justifiable. And you see, when you frame it like this, it's so obvious you can't not understand. Even children, and I don't say this to be mean or derogatory, but I'm serious, even children can actually understand this concept. So to get to the point where you're an adult, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old and you don't understand this, it's because you have been conned, you have been duped and brainwashed by evil. And that's a terrible thing to see someone laid low by the machinations of evil people who desire to consciously cause and fabricate evil, put it into the world. It's a nasty thing to see. Not just nasty because those Kabbalites have put evil into the world, but people, the everyday average Joe, has accepted that evil into their mind without filter, without discernment, without judgment. And I think that's probably really the sad thing. Not that people wanted to trick you and enslave you, but that you didn't care enough to think it through when you accepted those false ideologies, disastrous, subservient, obedient ideas, and just let them get into your head. Lower your self-esteem to that of a slug and allow yourself to be malleable Play-Doh for the whim of intelligent psychopaths. It's both evil, but really, which one's more evil? You don't have the right to take 1% of another person's property or money against their will, nor does anyone else have the right to do the same to you. So whenever you vote for a government, you're embodying the essence of evil via your actions, via the active support of extreme imposition. When you support religions and Christianity and Jesus and Yahweh, you're doing the exact same thing. Scientism, mainstream medicine, well, I can't call it medicine. What's a more, well, they call it drugs, don't they? All these drugs that just, well, it's the same category as heroin and cocaine and LSD. Well, actually, I think there can be some benefits from LSD. I don't know. I've heard there can be some good side effects. But can there ever be any good side effects from the jibby jabs? No, never. Never, ever. Every time you vote for a government, no matter who is sitting on the throne, you are voting to enslave yourself and others, and that is evil. By consequence, and your willful desire to evade the consequences. You may believe it is an innocent error to vote. There's only one example of where it would be appropriate to vote. If someone like me was saying, vote for me, I'll get into government and I'm going to repeal everything. I'm going to have a plan to eventually, over a decade perhaps, to get rid of government. And on day one, I am cancelling taxes, ending tariffs. Your money is now yours. We have no right to take from you without your consent. In that kind of very, very rare circumstance, that is the only time it would ever be appropriate to vote someone into government, and that is to end government. That's the only time it's appropriate. All else not appropriate. No, just think it through. What is the causality? What is the chain of cause and effect that is going to happen from voting and putting someone into a position of power that is superior to you? Unless they're going in there to end the evil system. And if they don't do it, you disobey them and you do lots of violent things which would be absolutely necessary to destroy that reign of evil. You may believe it is an innocent error to vote, to routinely feed yourself or child junk food. Yet when you trade belief for knowledge, reason for faith, and you do it of your own free will, how could you possibly argue against your culpability of evasion? This is why they always ask you in court, are you here of your own free will? Do you plead guilty of your own free will? They're asking you. How can you feel guilt for something you haven't done wrong? Just because you went 5-10 kilometers over the speed limit, why on earth should you feel guilty for that? You haven't done anything wrong. But that's what they're asking you when you go to court. Are you guilty? Oh, yes, I'm guilty. Your Honor. Are you saying that of your own free will? Yes, I am. Okay, well, we're going to punish you. We're going to charge you all these fees for our services of punishing you. That's their business model. We get to torture you because you consented to it. Okay, easy done. That's what they're doing. To choose not to know is to know you are choosing ignorance, belief, and faith over the world of actuality. Who else is to blame but yourself for the way you decided to exercise your volition? as an adult, if you innocently throw a rock at someone's head, you can't avoid being held accountable for your actions. You will be held accountable. If you threw a rock at someone's head, now they're on the ground, unconscious, bleeding, they might die. You can't get away with that. You are culpable. You are responsible for breaking someone's skull. Your ignorance of cause and effect does not excuse your actions, especially when you were told what would happen as a result of your actions. If you throw that rock at his head, you're going to get in big trouble because you don't have the right to throw a rock at his head. Oh, but I don't know what will happen if I throw a rock at his head. I don't know. I don't understand cause and effect. I don't know anything. It's like you're 32. What are you doing? Throwing a rock at this innocent dude's head. You don't even know him. He's just walking down the street. You've got to throw a rock at his head? Well, I don't know. Someone told me it's a good thing to do. How am I meant to know the consequences of my actions? That's what's happening when you're voting. You're supporting the act of terrorism for people you don't even know to be robbed at gunpoint. Well, I don't know them. How am I meant to know what my vote is actually doing? How am I meant to open my eyes, look, see, hear the reality around me? How am I meant to know? My senses aren't valid. Knowledge is impossible. Reality is a computer game. It's a dream. It's a DMT trip. We're living in God's mind. God makes up morality. How am I meant to know the consequences of my actions and to know that what I'm doing is morally evil? I'm not to blame. I'm good because I once thought in my head that I'm good. And I can get away with anything if I believe it's true, because subjectivism and law of attraction and New Age, mysticism and quantum physics, oh no, I can be good and bad at the same time. Though I'm never actually bad, I'm always just good. But if I ever do bad things, I'm actually good. No. No, no, no. No, just no. Your ignorance of cause and effect does not excuse your actions. Your refusal to accept reality as it is does not excuse your actions, especially when you're told what would happen as a result. Stupidity does not excuse destruction. This is the evil of stupidity. That is, the state of being willfully stupid in regards to the facts in a context, of being volitionally ignorant to reality, refusing to accept that reality objectively exists, and grasping with your hands so tightly, you're bleeding, your fingers are scratched up, and your black eyes, you're a mess, you're hanging onto this idea, reality is made by my consciousness, subjective, everything's subjective, oh, mysticism, nonsensical gods and religion, oh, reality isn't objective, no, I can get away with doing anything. Me voting for the government, no, it's actually good. If I really just believe that, it'll become good. If I believe what these authorities are telling me, because facts don't exist. No, that's for other people. Some people believe in facts, but I don't, so therefore facts don't exist. That's what people are doing. That's what I see, and I can see it so clearly now. That's exactly what I see, because they're being purposefully dumb. Bring it back to the voting. People are being purposefully dumb, on purpose. It's literally on purpose, willfully, not wanting to know, wanting to believe a subjective fantasy, a fairy tale. You have stupid evil, which is, I would attribute that to most people in a context, of course, with obviously with voting, but then many other things as well. Stupid things which are not in the interest of their proper survival, which are not good for them or good for other people, which violate their own health and their own rights. Well, not violate their own rights, but they're violating others' rights and they're committing evil, destructive acts against themselves. And then on the other hand, you have intelligent evil such as the cabal, which is calculated and by conscious design. And so the fact is, both of those are evil. Stupid evil, intelligent evil, both are on the scale of evil. Both are evil. And it doesn't really matter which one's more evil. It's interesting, but it doesn't matter because evil is evil. The fact is, stupid, subconscious evil and intelligent, conscious evil are both evil. Neither is desirable, and both evil states of false beliefs should be extinguished. exterminated, absolutely incinerated from the minds of humanity. Burn it out. Purge the false, destructive, evil beliefs. And don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying go around and kill everyone who's believing these false ideas. I'm saying kill the false ideas. Kill these ideas in people's minds. Don't just, if what Hitler did was actually true, just went and killed all the people. Don't kill all the people. What I'm saying is kill the ideas. And the only way you can do that is by combating those evil, false ideas with good, true ideas. That's what I'm advocating here. Because I have the right to demand that you stop believing evil things and doing evil things, and to start thinking good things and doing good things. I have that right to demand that of you. And if you don't do that, I have the right to use physical force against you to stop you from doing evil things. But you don't have the right. No one has the right to demand that others believe evil things and do evil things. You don't have the right to do that. Very quickly, I'll just touch on government because I have a good analogy about government. People don't understand how much of a Muppet show it is. It literally is a Muppet show. And when I say Muppets, I mean someone's got a hand up a toy's butt and they're controlling it. And they've got Trump on this side, they've got Biden over here. It's one dude controlling both Muppets. Or you could even have, imagine you've got like this sock puppet thing and there's Hillary Clinton here, a little face on this finger. There's Trump here, there's Obama, there's Bush, there's Biden. And people are like, oh, I like this Muppet. Yeah, this one's really good. Yeah, Trump is nice. Oh, but Obama, yeah, he's okay too. Clinton, yeah, it's a woman. Yeah, Bush, no, don't like that one. It's like, you're not getting it. You're not seeing it. Look, it's little puppets on someone's hand. That is all government is, and that is all it can be, ever. It's just someone controlling all of them. They're all being controlled by the same force. You've heard the saying, two wings of the same bird. You can use that. I really like that Muppet idea. Or you can just imagine the stage and there's these Muppets and they're talking and people they're clapping and cheering for one Muppet and they're booing and they're jeering for the other Muppet. They don't understand. They're literally watching a show. It's like WWE. It's a scripted, it's a parody of reality. And it's like, really? People believe it? No. Maybe I'm going crazy. Surely I'm the one going mad here. And I'm just hallucinating the fact that other people can actually take government and politics seriously for a moment. Well, after the age of 25 or 30 perhaps. Before then, okay, inexperienced, you're stupid, you don't know anything, really. It's understandable. Over those ages, wow. My goodness. Again, I want to say that evil doesn't have to be red-skinned, horned, wearing a black cloak, red eyes, and kill everyone on sight. Evil doesn't have to look like that. Evil can look normal. It could look like me. Could look like you. Looks like anyone. Smiles and waves, looks happy, charismatic, convinces you that they're your friend. And that's normally what evil looks like. That's what evil normally does. That they're there to help you. If only you trust them. If only you trust them and listen to them. Don't think for yourself. Don't use reason. Have faith. That's a great way to tell who's evil. So the way you can tell I'm not evil, or anyone who is telling you to use your mind and use reason is not evil, because that's exactly what they're telling you. They're saying, you don't need to trust me. Trust your mind. Think for yourself. You have the ability to be sovereign, to be a Lord of one. That's what it means to be sovereign, Lord of one. To be rationally independent and the master of your mind. You should have great self-esteem. You should be able to live for yourself, as yourself, to pursue and experience happiness and health. You being free is good for you, it is good for me. That's how you can tell I'm not evil. And if you look at anyone else, if they're saying those things and their actions are in alignment with what they're saying, of course, you go, well, that person's not evil. If they're not doing that, you can recognize them straight away. Evil, they're telling me to trust, to use faith. that my mind is incapable of understanding the real truth, that is evil. You go, gotcha! So easy to pick that up, so easy. If they're saying they have superior rights than you, and they're not going to outwardly say that, but by their actions, oh, we have the right of eminent domain, the government. We can expropriate land and take that because we want to build a freeway here. We can take your money, income tax, etc. Evil. You can instantly recognize it. It's like if you teach a child, whenever you see a spider that is black and red, that's a redback, that's poisonous, you stay away from that. This type of snake with a brown snake, okay, that's a venomous one, you stay away from that, that is deadly. Just as easily as you can perceptually recognize a toxic spider or a deadly snake or a dangerous lion or tiger in the wild, and you can know, well, I'm going to stay away from that, I'm going to be very cautious. What I'm teaching you is the conceptual, abstract information, the knowledge to be able to recognize evil on sight from what people say and what they do. From the intelligent, conscious evil psychopath to the stupid, willfully ignorant and evasive subconscious evil average Joe. To be able to recognize both of them. And in the cases where there is something you potentially might be able to do to help that person save themselves and to redeem themselves, not beg on their knees for forgiveness and redemption from some supernatural evil monster, but redemption from themselves to correct their behavior, to recognize, oh shit, I've been doing some terribly evil things. I don't like that. I don't want to be evil. Even 1% of the time, I want to be good 100% of the time. I want to be morally perfect because you can be morally perfect. And I don't mean, and I said this in the last video, socially absolutely perfect. I just mean don't do anything immoral. Don't do anything that is harmful and violating others' rights and consequentially evil, because you may like to walk down the street with your top off because it's hot and people go, oh, that's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. And, you know, there can be some questions about context and time and place, etc. Maybe that's not totally the right thing to do, and you can have lots of other examples of this. Maybe at night time you pee on someone's front lawn, it's 3 a.m. and you've been out drinking, or not even drinking, but you need to take a leak, and then they catch you. It's like, well, is that evil? Is that morally perfect? No, that's not immoral. Maybe you shouldn't have done that, and that's some other branch of consideration to contemplate. But that's not immoral, that's not evil. You can be morally perfect by not violating other people's rights, by not cheating or stealing from them, by not supporting and condoning evil acts which cause consequential destruction and violation of rights. And not do that yourself. Don't thieve someone's consent. Don't take their life without their consent. Don't take their ability to freely choose and exercise their rational mind. Because if you want redemption, you need to find it in cessation, to stop doing what you're doing and vow to never do those things again, ever. And then to do the right thing continuously, because the right thing is good and it is good for you and it is good for everyone else. What is good for you is good for everyone else. What is good for you behind the camera and everyone else is good for me. How does that work? Because if you do good for yourself, you're going to be healthier and happier. You're not going to be violating my rights. You're going to make more money. You're going to be working in a massage shop, which I go down and I benefit from that. Or you're going to be a carpenter or a fridge maker or a software engineer. You're going to do something valuable that I am going to get benefit from. You're going to start a new business, become super rich because you've just developed a phone with an indefinite battery and you become a billionaire, but I can buy your phone for $2,000. Give you that money. I'd love to give you that money, and I get a fantastic phone and the battery never goes flat. Awesome! What's good for you is good for me. That is so crucial to understand. What is good for me is good for you. Because when something goes well in my life, I do something good, which is somehow going to benefit you. I want to explain, you have two paths in every single moment. One of those paths you can call the path of the NPC, to choose to be an NPC, a non-player character, to be played by someone else. Essentially to be an observer in your own mind where all your actions are controlled by an external force and you're just running on subconscious programs. And it's like, what are the choices? What are the qualities of someone who makes those choices? because I contemplate the idea of NPCs. Are they a real thing? Are they actually computer programs? Or is it something else? Is it a conscious choice for people to decide, choice by choice by choice by choice, from when they're born to when they die, every single day they're making choices which align to the behavior of what we would call a non-player character, a computer simulated program, a simulacrum of real humanity, of mankind, of spirit. So on the left, you have subconscious programs, you have dependence, and that's what evil does. Evil psychopaths, they need to make their victims dependent on them. And these people who are evil to themselves, by evading and not wanting to live for themselves and having no self-esteem and wanting an apparently easier life because they're lazy, they are dependent on these people who are claiming to make their life easier, who don't, who just make it harder. But dependence is evil. Authority, apathy, indifference to outcome. And again, I'm saying all this because this is the path to the left of the NPC, of the muggle, the unthinking zombie, the average Joe. And I don't even like to say that, the average Joe, because the average Joe should be a legend. It's like what the average Joe has become. Indifference to outcomes, disinterest, short-term thinking, small picture thinking, if you can even call it thinking, surface level thinking, irresponsible, faith-based, outsourcing of thought and independent judgment, evasion, blanking out, drifting of the mind, avoiding facts and responsibilities, anti-life, anti-reality, anti-evil. That is the path to the left, and you have those choices in everything you do every single day. And then you have the path to the right. Here are some of the qualities of what's actually happening when you make those choices to go to the right, to be human qua human, man qua man, spiritual being qua spiritual being, in the capacity of. If you still don't understand what qua means, it's like water is for humans, petrol is for cars. If you're drinking petrol, you're not acting human qua human. You're like acting human qua car. Petrol doesn't work, doesn't integrate into the human body. Petrol isn't for the human body. Petrol is for a car, but if you're putting water into a car's, not radiator, but its petrol tank, well, now you're treating the car qua human, in the capacity of human. It's a contradiction, it doesn't work. It's going to cause issues. You need to be acting human qua human, in the capacity of, as what you actually are, not human qua animal, not human qua demon, not human qua monster, but a human qua mystical being or servant and slave of God, or servant and slave of society or religion or government. No, human qua human, rational, independent, individual, intelligent, purposeful, sovereign, all these good things. So the path to the right, consciously choose your programs, consciously choose your beliefs, and I won't even say beliefs, but ideas and knowledge and concepts. Act with conscious free will and volition with everything you do. Be responsible for your actions. Care, have passion about the things you care about. Care about yourself. Care about what you care about. Think long range, big picture. Bring it back to the fundamentals, not surface level. Be pro-life, pro-reality. Be good. Be rational. One of the big problems is that people don't know how to value what is objectively valuable to them. They think, well, just because I'm choosing McDonald's or choosing alcohol, that's important to me, and so that's valuable to me. I am acting in my selfish interests. No, you're not being selfish. To be selfish means to act in accordance with what is objectively valuable and in your interests. And they are in your interests because they are good for your interests. What is good for you. That is how you link in selfishness with objectivity and values. That which you act to gain or keep. That which you should be pursuing and possessing. Material goods, psychological states of mind which bring you happiness and joy and health and pleasure, physical health. Just because you think it's important to binge watch Netflix, to scroll Instagram, to gossip, to play sports, and not focus on what's actually important, long term, that's objectively valuable. And I'm not saying you can never drink alcohol, you can never play sports, you can never watch a TV show. Obviously not. No. After this, I'm going to be playing computer games because I love playing computer games. Dawn of War, love it, it's so good. But I don't only do that. I don't just focus on entertainment and leisure as a policy over education and learning what is fundamentally important to being good, because I want to be good. Don't want to be evil. Why would you want to be evil? Maybe you'd want to be evil if you're in pain, if you're hurting, you want revenge on the world, and you hate yourself, you hate other people, you hate what the world's done to you, and you want to cause pain and suffering in retaliation as revenge. Then, yeah, okay, understandable to be evil, but that's not really in your best interest, because that's going to backfire. That's going to backfire hard. Just look at the story of Darth Vader, Anakin and Darth Vader. That didn't really work out too well for him, did it? Again, there's some good aspects to Darth Vader. I think I said that in the last video, maybe I said that in a voice message, but there's some great things about Darth Vader, like his conviction of purpose, his certainty in what he's doing. Even though, well, surface level, because actually underneath he's never actually certain. He's tortured and he's self-loathing right up to the end, and then he ends up betraying Palpatine because he finally comes to his senses, picks him up and throws him over the edge. Die, mofo, you deserve death, and saves his son Luke. Finally comes to his senses. But let's just abstract away and take those scenes where Anakin or Darth Vader is in those scenes and he's very confident, very powerful. I love that about evil villainous characters in TV shows and movies, that individual aspect of their certainty, their confidence, even though it's like a pseudo purpose and confidence and it's not fully real, it's like compensating. But again, abstract way, forget about all that, just look at the good aspects. It's like with the courts. If we're going to have private courts, take all the good stuff from these corrupt public courts and then leave out all the bad. You should be able to do that with your mind. You can't just totally condemn something. Like even Trump, for example, I think he's a great businessman from the little I know about him. Musk, well, no, I don't think so. I think he's a total sham, but it seems like Trump is a good businessman, charismatic, on the phone all day, talking to people. Well, that's a big part of business, isn't it? Talking to people and having good relationships, and he was obviously very good at that. But it doesn't change the fact he's still evil and he's fooling people with this whole presidency thing. I wanted to explain the difference between selfishness and motivated action. Someone who is drinking Coke and eating pizza every day as a policy, and who is obese, doesn't exercise, and is depressed, unhappy, sick, sore joints, going to the doctors, has one of those sleep apnea machines, can't breathe properly, asthma, well, okay, just because they think it's important to, do they really even think it's important? Are they just stuck in a addictive, self-destructive cycle, going down and down and down? That's not selfish what they're doing. It's motivated action, but it's not selfish because it's not in their interests. Selfish means to be selfish according to what is actually valuable and in your interest, that which is good for you. If you're slicing your wrists, that's not selfish. There's a motive behind it. I want attention. I've got mental pain. I want to distract myself and change the attention, the focus from the mental pain and anguish I feel to the physical. I slice my wrist. That's not selfish. That's selfless. It's a motivated action. It's saying, well, I'm not going to actually think about myself. And when you're young, it's hard because you haven't got this kind of philosophy that I'm teaching you here. So you don't know right from wrong. You don't know how to deal with your emotions. You don't understand that your emotions are a consequence of your thoughts, of what you've put into your subconscious or allowed other people to put into your subconscious. And then your emotions are an expression of those programs you have. But people aren't told this. They aren't taught that. So it's very difficult. I get that when you're young and you haven't got any good role models, you haven't got any good teachers, and you just got teachers and professors and adults and parents around you that not only aren't teaching you the right things, but they're teaching you the wrong things. That is understandable. And in a way, it does explain a lot for the state of the current world. Voting isn't selfish. It's not thinking, what is actually good for me? What is good for me? What is good for other people? What's going to make everyone healthier, happier, and freer? Is voting actually going to do that? Have you thought that through? No, obviously not. So it's not a selfish action to vote. It is motivated It's motivated by a vacuous program that is devoid of conscious discernment, that's been installed without filter, without inspection, without verification of its veracity, of its truthfulness in reality. And people are going, oh, well, I've got this program here, I'm going to act it out, I'm motivated, but it's not selfish because values are objective. Food is objectively good for you if you want to survive. There is no needs in reality, in life. You don't need to breathe, you don't need to drink or eat unless you want to survive. If you don't want to survive, you don't want to live and be happy, then you just die. Go kill yourself. That can come out very blunt. But essentially that is true. If you don't want to live, well then you don't need to do anything. But if you want to live, if you have a goal, some particular ambition, then you need to do particular things to achieve that. If you want to start a business, if you want to make money, then you need to follow this particular set of actions. If you want to get shredded, you need to do this. If you want to bulk, you need to do this. If you want to be good, you need to do this. If you want to be evil, you need to do this. If you want to stop being evil, you need to do this. You need to face reality. You need to be honest. You need to introspect. You need to extrospect. Look in, look out. See what's happening on the inside, see what's happening on the outside without evasion, without emotion blinding you. Just because you believe smoking cigarettes is a value to you subjectively doesn't mean it objectively is a value to you because it's not good for you. It is detrimental to your health. Just because you wish something was good for you doesn't mean it is good for you. Because reality is objective. You have a nature. If you subjectively believe it's in your interests and it's important, it's a value to drink petrol, reality is going to disagree with you, my friend. Who is more evil? The evil man who chooses to be evil consciously, or the evil man who thinks he is good, who wants to do good, but doesn't want to know what good is, refuses to learn it, evades reality, suppresses morality and his subconscious, and accidentally, indirectly, or directly causes evil consequences. Which one is more evil? And when you think about it, I'm not certain on this, I'm still postulating it, but I think one of those men have the power to change and the other doesn't. The man who knows he is being evil and is conscious about it, at least he has the opportunity to correct his mistakes and become good. Hypothetically, I can't say that with certainty. But if one of these Kabbalites, Trump or Musk, or who was one that decided to change, maybe some of these people who were in the Freemasons and then they decided to come out and speak out against it, who they were consciously committing evil acts, and then they decided, hold on, I don't want to do this anymore. Because at least they're conscious about what they're doing. They're consciously pursuing malevolent, cruel pathways, the dark side of the force, whereas someone who chooses to be ignorant, well, they're acting on faith. They're drifting, they're running by subconscious programs they haven't verified, that they've allowed other people to install. Do they have the capacity to change? That's still one I'm contemplating. I don't know for sure. I hope so, but hope isn't good enough because potentially the man who refuses to acknowledge the fact he is evil by his destructive consequences and evasion leaves himself no opportunity to become good. Only when one is conscious and honest is there a hope in hell to make new choices, to study new ideas, and to update one's harmful beliefs with correct knowledge. So the average Joe or the Muggle, they seem to not care about themselves or not care about themselves enough. It's like they've had their self-esteem destroyed or severely attacked and crippled, disabled, and thus have a lot lower self-respect than they really should. It's like their curiosity and desire to seek the truth has been hampered. It's been curtailed and controlled in relation to their objective values and interests. So thus they have little to no care about morality. They don't care about being good because they don't think they can know good, because they don't think they can actually know anything, because they don't think they are worthy of knowing anything. They think all they deserve is what they are given by authorities, by God, the government, religion. When one doesn't actually care about being good, when they don't take it seriously, they become evil by default. Because the whole culture and society and the world we live in is being controlled by a cult of evil people who influences everyone else to be evil. That's what evil does. It needs everyone else to be evil to survive, because if there was evil people trying to control the world and everyone was good, well, evil can't do anything. If everyone was good, they go, no. It's like people being able to recognize a mosquito. No, you attacked me. You don't deserve to live. I think mosquitoes don't deserve to live whatsoever. No, and people go, oh, the food chain. No, send mosquitoes extinct. They're just like the cabal, parasitic, disgusting creatures. They have no right to survive. And how can I say such a thing as an entire race, a species, should go extinct? Mosquitoes in this case. Most people probably agree with that. But because they are initiators. It's not like we go out and deliberately seek to kill them. They come to us. They land on us and steal our blood and make you itch and scratch. And that's enough to warrant retaliation. That may be controversial and up for further discussion. But that's my opinion about mosquitoes at this point. And at least the evil tyrant, they care about themselves and consciously commit evil. At least they're doing that. They have the ability to change and reform because they are living consciously. The muggle has decided to live unconsciously. They have chosen not to care, to be indifferent to their objective interests and thus apathetic towards morality, of being good and the consequences of not being good, i.e. being evil. They are the skeptics, the theists, the mystics, the subjectivists, the emotionless. They don't believe knowledge on the large scale is possible. They don't believe in certainty. They don't trust themselves because they have been taught not to trust anything. Simulation theory, the mysterious incoherence of God's plan. The ultimate evil isn't to become the Palpatine or the Trump. It's to become the Muggle, the NPC. Evil villains at least live for themselves. The ultimate evil is to cause one to live for another, is to live for another. To exist because someone else wants you to exist. To be a slave to the machinations of external factors. That is pure evil. And this is a question for you. What's more evil? To convince someone that they should be your slave? Or to believe them? If I had the choice to be a Palpatine or a Voldemort or a Darth Vader or a Trump or a Musk or the Pope, if I had that choice to choose to be them or to choose to be the average Joe who, as a policy, watches sports, watches singing and dancing entertainment, drinks alcohol and gets drunk on a regular basis, smokes cigarettes, does other recreational drugs, only talks about surface level dribble, gossips about other people, has an IQ, even though I don't like the whole concept of IQ, but has an IQ of 65, is overweight, is unhappy, depressed, and votes and supports Christianity or any religion, and has a whole mismatch of terrible ideologies and philosophies, supports Jordan Peterson, Musk, all this and the rest. If I had to choose between one of those, like the conscious evil or the unconscious evil, I'd definitely choose the conscious evil, the Palpatine, the Voldemort, the Trump. I'd much prefer to be one of those people, the Bill Gates, over the unthinking zombie. Because at least if you choose to be the Trump or the Musk, you're still awake, you're still alive. And you have the choice to reform, or you at least have the opportunity to enjoy something about life, like at least half consciously. And again, obviously, they're both terribly evil and you'd never choose either of them. But I'm saying if you were forced in some kind of ultimatum, you had to choose one or the other. Which one is worse, which one I definitely think is worse, is to be the submissive. Because at least over here, you're the superior. You're in control. And they've probably got their whole hierarchy and their control, perhaps more than even we are in a certain extent. But at least they have beautiful hotels and nice cars and lots of money and all these other benefits. At least they've got that. We don't know the full extent of how severely damaged their psychology is and how little empathy they have. But if you had to choose just ostensibly, from the surface of what we can see, the average person working at the supermarket or someone in politics. I'd prefer to be the politician than there's someone working, and it's not to say that working in a supermarket in of itself is a terrible thing to do. If you're consciously thinking and care about all this kind of stuff, okay, great. I'm using that as an example to illustrate the typical unthinking muggle and their choice to not amount to anything in life and to be a submissive zombie. What's your choice to be? A evil tyrannical dictator or a submissive unconscious zombie? Well, I'd choose the conscious evil dictator any day of the week. I'd choose to be Trump over Greg down at the bloody pharmacy any day. But obviously I'd choose to be James over those choices. And I share that to really demonstrate the point of how terribly evil it is to be an unthinking zombie, a muggle, an NPC. That is the ultimate evil. To become that. Oh. And I'm sure plenty of people disagree with me, and if you do, I'm interested and open to hearing your ideas. Who do you actually think is more evil? The Pope and the politicians and the bankers and the Callow King? Or do you think it is the muggles, the NPCs, the submissive, on their knees, kowtowing worshippers, the unthinking unbeguns? Who do you think is more evil? Please share your insights. I'm open to having my mind changed, as always, about things which I don't say I'm certain about. What I'm certain about, I'm certain about. Though you can still be certain and be wrong. You have to be aware of that. Conceptually at least. Perceptually, well, no, you can't be wrong. Like if a rock drops, well, you can't be wrong with that because that is the metric where you measure everything back against is perception. That is the standard of right and wrong. So, but conceptually, you can be wrong. I think true evil is the choice to be unconscious, to evacuate your spirit from the plane of existence, from the plane of reality. It's to spiritually self-immolate. That is what true evil is, and that's what I see the muggle. They've immolated, they've burnt their spirit on the pyre of damnation and oblivion. But again, I don't want to condemn them too much because of the possibility that there may be some chance for redemption, for atonement, to save themselves. Some people, there probably just is no hope whatsoever, and those poetic descriptions would be accurate. Because evil is knowing right from wrong and choosing wrong, choosing to be asleep, choosing to know what you should not do. It's not just thinking, I know I shouldn't rape this person, but I'll do it anyway. I shouldn't take people's money, but I'll do it anyway. It's thinking, I know I should think about the consequences of my actions when I vote for a political party, but I won't. That's knowing right from wrong, and you're choosing to do wrong. And people say, well, you can't know what's going on in the head of others. You can't make judgments upon people you haven't met. In certain contexts, no, you can't. But in other contexts, yes, you can. You can know exactly what's going on in their heads. Fundamental dishonesty, faith-based, unreasoning, illogical nonsense. Consistent, persistent, ritualistic refusal to focus on what's important. You can know that for a fact by the way one says and does things when they refuse to look at the real world, like their life depends on it. Because it's like, what do you expect to happen from avoiding the truth and facts? Say voting. So many people know they really should think about that. They know it's wrong not to think about that, or to feed their children particular foods, or to jibby jab, or to get the jibby jab for non-vid, and to wear a face nappy, all these different examples. They know they should be thinking. They know they should be independently rational, and yet they choose not to do it. It's like, what do they expect to happen from avoiding the truth and facts? You're not a child anymore, you're a grown-ass adult. You can't close your eyes and pretend everything goes away when you're not looking. Hiding under the blankets won't save you. What's worse, kicking a dog or voting? I think it's far more evil to vote. Kicking a dog, obviously that's evil, don't do that unless you've got a valid reason for kicking a dog. It just attacked you out of the blue and it's bitten onto your leg. Okay, kick the shit out of it then, or it's attacking your kid or someone you know. Yeah, fair enough, that's right. But a peaceful, happy dog, you just go up and kick it? Well, obviously that's evil. But what's more evil? Kicking a dog, or even killing a dog, or voting? It is more evil to vote. And hopefully, by the end of part 3, you understand that now very deeply, the implications of what it means to vote And if you don't, watch all my other videos that talks about capitalism, privatization and anarchy, and looking at all the policies of a government and breaking down in piece by piece, bit by bit, detail by detail, how government is ruining the world and how capitalism can save it. And I want to end on this happy note. I want you to really know, as I've stressed previously, you are important. You do deserve life. Whoever you are, this doesn't actually change if you're evil, if you're the Callow King or not, because this is still objectively true. If you have committed certain evil acts, well, then you've given up your right to life at this point. But it's the fact that you contradicted your nature, your identity, that in the beginning, as in accordance with your identity, you are important. You do deserve life. You do deserve happiness, to be free, to be proud, to be independent, to be sovereign, to be the lord of yourself, the master of your decisions. You are worthy of life and living for yourself. And you should be good and righteous and morally perfect. And it is possible for you. And if you commit to it, it's not just possible, it's extremely probable and practically certain if that's what you commit to doing. You are the greatest thing in your life, and you should be proud of it. You deserve to be the best you can be. You deserve to care about your selfish, egoic interests to the best of your ability, and you are worth the world to yourself. If you don't understand what selfishness means properly, I've got other playlists talking about that. From objectivist Tara Smith talks about selfishness and self-interest, egoism. I haven't got a dedicated video about selfishness, but I have explained it in these lessons. But that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point. You are worthy, to deserve happiness, all that good stuff. It's true. It's true. Don't contradict your nature. Don't choose to be a demon, to be a monster, to be a Frankenstein. Be a human. Be a spiritual being. Be man or a woman. Be whatever your name is and do it well. Do it to the best of your abilities because you deserve it. All right, that's the end of this video. Part 4, I'll be getting onto the axes, and yeah, that's going to be a surprise. You'll see that, and looking at some different perspectives than evil, and yeah, I really look forward to that, and I hope you do too. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Okay, bye-bye.